Greetings, this is Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I have drifted into the Underworld. The Star Wars Underworld. I have a bad feeling about this.
Here we go. We must go to the lower levels. The Underworld.
You've taken your first step into a larger world.
You're after something.
Ben.
Since I've started the Underworld, I've met so many great friends.
Chris.
I grew up in the 1990s, and mall packaging is nostalgic for me.
Dominic.
What I love most about Star Wars is that it's fun and it's all-round good times.
So, this is where the fun begins.
May the Force be with us.
This thing really moves!
Whoa! I like this!
I can't believe you came all this way to see me.
Why am I not in the intro? I gotta come up with a snappy line.
Why, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Star Wars Underworld podcast. We are live once again, and we've got a lot to cover this week. D23 happened last week. If you didn't hear, if you were stuck under a rock, which some people might be, I don't know. And a lot happened. We got a lot of trailers. Some of them were officially released. Some of them weren't. We'll be focusing more on the officially released kind if you haven't caught up, because I know there was like a couple hours period there where like all the trailers were online and then they disappeared because that tends to happen. But we do have one big trailer to talk about. We got a Skeleton Crew trailer, guys. No one saw that coming. It was a complete surprise. We totally didn't have a heads up about that one. Wink, wink. So yeah, it's gonna be a heck of a lot of fun. So you at this point in the show, you might be wondering, wait, why is that guy doing the intro? He doesn't usually do that. What's going on? What happened? Actually, nothing happened, really. It's just that I was the only one who showed up, guys. Sorry. Hannah and Chris and Dom are somewhere. Admittedly, I think they're doing things that are far more important in this show, if I'm being honest. So, we hope to see them back next week, or at least a couple of them. But I think, you guys were this close away from a Ben Solo show, okay? This close. But it's not going to happen this week, because coming in clutch, we have some good friends here. First off, it's been a little while since we talked to this guy, but it's always good to have him. Chad, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me back, Ben. And just Ben, my favorite SWU host. Because the rest of them hate me, so it's
funny how they were here last week, and then you show up and they're gone. That's real suspicious, isn't it?
Weird how it happens, and definitely not. Ben texts me at like 9 o'clock in the morning asking me if I can do the show. So
yeah, that tends to happen. Also, just full disclosure, we didn't find out that everyone was going to be here until last night. So it was a bit of a scramble to actually get a show with hosts other than me. Was a lot of things. But Chad's not the only one here. Coming back after a little while. It's great to have him. Jesse Bennett, welcome back.
Great to be here. Yeah, just like Chad. Loved getting that last minute text and me just looking at it and being like, I would love to say yes, but I'm not familiar. Like, I'm one of those who I've been under the rock. So I'm like, I really haven't seen any of this. I was like, I don't know. And he's like, no, that's fine. Bring it. And I was like, all right.
Yeah, that was, look, I think it's fair to say you guys are on a special list of people that when I need a host, when I need a co-host, you're on that list of people that I will frantically dial up in the middle of the night to see if they're available for literally the next day, or maybe the same day, like Chad's thing. So, yeah, a bit of a scramble, but guess what? We're going to have a great show anyway. This is going to be a fantastic show because, fear not, we have a lot of really amazing things to cover tonight. And who knows, maybe one of my estranged co-hosts will pop in at some point. I know one of them sent along a video for us to watch, so we'll hear from them pretty soon. But before we dive deeper into the episode, let me go over the plugs, okay? Because first thing I want to tell you is to go check out the Star Wars Underworld Network. We got the Raeside, we got Ion Cannon, Tractor Beam, Tales from Beyond the Galaxy, a lot of great shows and stuff that you should check out. You can go check it out at StarWarsUnderworld.net is our official home. Now, not StarWarsUnderworld.com.net. We changed it because reasons. And yeah, so there's even Tales from Beyond the Galaxy, which they've been a little dry spell. They came out with an episode, I think, earlier this week. So definitely go check them out. Join the Discord. Find the link in the description, literally any description, and whether you're in your podcatcher or on YouTube. We have bi-weekly events. I believe we're having a game night coming up this week, so that should be a heck of a lot of fun. And that's where you can submit questions for Ask the SWU. That's a segment towards the end of the show. You can submit new, I should say, super chats here on YouTube if you're listening live. And we will read them on the show, obviously, towards the end of the show. Or you can submit Discord messages on the official Star Wars Underworld Network Discord, literally any time of the day or night, and we will read them off. And there's somebody literally, Plagueis, you're late, okay? You're dropping questions right now, okay? They might have to wait till next week because I'm not sure I'll be able to get them in this week, but we'll try, okay? We'll try. But you're skin of your teeth here. And also subscribe and review. If you're watching on YouTube, give us a thumbs up, give us a subscribe. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts actually isn't a thing anymore. I use Pocket Cast. Pocket Cast is a great little podcast app. Go give us a 5-star review if that's a thing that you can actually do in some of these apps. And it really supports and helps us out. And also follow us on Threads specifically. We also do some stuff on other things. Full disclosure, we're on everywhere. I did give up on Blue Sky. I'm sorry to everyone on Blue Sky. I don't have time for it anymore. I'm not posting on Blue Sky anymore. But if you're that one person that's like, I use only Blue Sky and I want your posts, reach out and maybe I'll reconsider. But no more Blue Sky. But you can follow us on Threads and the Twitter and Facebook and all those. So yeah. What else? I think it's time to get into D23. And look, let's start this off right. We have a special message from a certain someone, a special extended message, I should say, from a special someone who experienced D23 firsthand. And he's going to start off the discussion here before we get into everything. So let's just see what he has to say.
Well, hello, everybody. Dominic here. I am so sorry that I could not be on this week's episode. True story, those stormtroopers that crashed last week's show, they actually came back and told me that since I was doing like a broadcast on behalf of the rebellion, that I was barred from doing any more podcasts for the next 2 weeks. That, or I've been away for 3 weeks. Been away from work and real life and all that stuff, and now I have to get caught up. One of those two things is true. I'll let you decide whichever one you prefer. But I couldn't not check in this week to give you all a comprehensive overview of D23 Expo. That is, of course, where I was last week. It was my 5th time at D23. D23, of course, being the big Disney convention. It's sort of like Star Wars Celebration, but just for Disney things. They roll out all the different Disney brands, different Disney studios to let the fans in on what's going on and put on some pretty cool experiences. And this year was no exception to that. It was great fun. Lots and lots to go over. And of course, we'll start with the big news out of there relating to the TV shows and the movies. These announcements were made as part of I think they called it the Disney Entertainment Showcase, basically the big panel for the convention that was held on Friday night. Now, this panel was like unlike any other convention panel that I've ever been to, in the sense that it was in a completely different venue. This wasn't at the Anaheim Convention Center where the rest of D23 was taking place. It was about 20 minutes down the road at the Honda Center, which is where the Anaheim Ducks, the NHL team, play. They also do concerts and stuff at this venue. And so instead of seating sort of 6,000 people as they have in the past at the, the biggest stages at the convention center, they were able to fit about 12,000 people in there. So it was a big venue for a big event, and they pulled out all the stops for this thing. I have to say, I think this is a really good idea to, take these big panels off site and allow as many people into them as possible. It's no longer feasible to do what we used to do back in the day for the Force Awakens and The Last Jedi and the sequel films, which was camp out overnight in line and then get into the panel first thing in the morning. It's just not feasible to do that anymore. So many people want to go to these cons. So many people want to be in those big panels for those big announcements. It just doesn't make sense to do overnight lines or big long lines like that. So I completely agree with the decision to expand the capacity of the number of people that can get in, and to move it off site to somewhere that can fit that, and to get rid of the whole lining up thing. The one downside of this, however, was that you had to buy separate tickets to get into the Honda Center panels. And there were 3 of them. There's one each day. There was the movies and TV show one that we're going to talk about in just a second. There was one for the parks on Saturday night, and there was the Disney Legends ceremony on Sunday night. And each of those required a separate ticket, and there's a separate ticket from your D23 pass. And these tickets were pretty pricey. It was like buying concert tickets. The cheapest seat was $100, which doesn't sit right with me. I gotta say that doesn't sit right with me. I know that. Look, I understand. You're going to an outside venue that has additional costs. You want to make sure that people show up to these things. If you do an online lottery, sometimes people win those lotteries and then they forget about the panel, their panel reservations, and they don't show up. And sometimes you wind up with rooms that are a little bit more empty than you thought they would be. And getting people to pay for the ticket certainly gives them an extra incentive to show up to the event. So I get all of that. But these ticket prices, they don't sit right with me. Again, I know Disney, they want to make money and all that stuff, but this event is a big promotion. It's a big commercial. The whole idea is that you're showing people stuff that they're going to spend money on later, and then if they like it, and presumably they will if they're there, they're going to tell people about. So it's free marketing. So yes, I get that you have to charge people because you have to pay for the Honda Center, but $100 a ticket for the cheapest ticket just doesn't feel right. And the better seats, the floor seats, were many multiples of that. And that just doesn't sit right with me. Disney makes so much money to begin with. They make billions and billions of dollars every year. So that's probably why they're charging so much, but it feels like the sort of thing that should be, $20 for the cheap seats, $100 for the expensive ones. And that would be a better way to treat your fans, I think. But that's neither here nor there. The panel was at the Honda Center. I think this is the future for convention panels. It wouldn't surprise me if future celebrations, especially ones in Anaheim, if they follow suit. Again, I hope the ticket prices are a little cheaper, but I think this is how things are going to be going forward. And as an event, as a venue, it really did work. The Honda Center presentations were extremely exciting. They were a lot of fun. They had all of that Disney spectacle and magic. There were live performances from the casts of Moana 2, of Agatha All Along, from a whole bunch of the Disney Broadway productions. Like this they went all out for this thing. But of course, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Star Wars. There were 3 big reveals on Friday at the Honda Center. The first, of course, being when Jude Law took the stage to debut the new trailer, the first trailer for Skeleton Crew. I have to say, I really, really like this trailer. I liked it a lot when they showed it, and I've liked it a lot in the times that I've watched it again. I like the feel of it. I like the vibe of it. I like the mystery. I like kind of the kids wanting to, leave their boring, mundane life and go out and into the universe and go on an adventure. It feels like it's getting back to the core of what Star Wars is. If you think about A New Hope, if you think about Star Wars as that original movie, so I really really like that. It feels like there's a lot of good mystery there. So I'm on board with Skeleton Crew. I was a little skeptical of the show because we hadn't heard anything. We didn't know what it was going to be, and now that we've seen a little piece of it, I feel good about it, and I'd love to spend more time breaking down the trailer, but there's so much more to get to because immediately after Jude Law left the stage, there was Diego Luna to preview Andor season 2. He came out there, he spoke in Spanish, he spoke in English, he talked to everybody, gave a little overview of what we can expect from season 2. Nothing we hadn't really heard before from Diego or Tony Gilroy or anybody else involved in the production about how this second season is going to cover 4 years of Cassian's life and really take him right into the beginning of Rogue One. But he then showed a behind the scenes reel. Now I know the reel hasn't been released officially, but there's unofficial versions that have been floating around out there. So I know many of you have seen it, so I'm not gonna spend too much time recapping it. But of course the two big takeaways from it are that Alan Tudyk is back as K2SO, who was kind of conspicuous by his absence in season 1, and that we will see Ben Mendelsohn back as Director Krennic. Again, we are really moving into the Rogue One time frame here, which is very, very exciting. The reel looked really good. There was tons of cool behind the scenes stuff, and there was also some stuff that looked pretty finished. So this is a show they've been working on for a long time, and next year when it drops on early in the year, early 2025, I'm really looking forward to seeing how they wrap up this series, and seeing how good the second season looks just makes me wish that there could be more somehow, even though there's not going to be more. And then to wrap up the Star Wars portion, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni took the stage to preview The Mandalorian and Grogu. No, Hannah, I am not going to call it the Mangu movie. Stop it. But Favreau and Filoni, they took the stage. It was Filoni kind of went off script and talked about how much of a fan of Jon Favreau he is and how much he enjoys working with Jon. And then they showed a little teaser for the movie that only just started shooting a couple of weeks ago. So this is really, really early stuff. But as Favreau said, this is the last D23 before the movie comes out in early 2026. So they wanted to show something. And what they showed was pretty cool. Started with Mando, Grogu, and Zeb, of all people, in what appears to be the cockpit of a new Razor Crest. Then there was some scenes in an Imperial base with some snowtroopers, Mando riding one of those chicken walkers, and coming face to face with some AT-ATs. Looks pretty exciting. The footage was very quick. It was very splashy. It felt really sort of cool action, had a really kind of cool action vibe. I'm very excited to see where this movie goes, and very excited that Zeb is like one of the first things we see about this movie. It really makes me think that Zeb might have a pretty serious and significant role in the movie, which, I was not expecting. Was not expecting that, but 110% here for it. I'd love it if that is the case. Again, they've only just started shooting. Maybe they shot Zeb's one scene and they thought, hey, we'll throw something to the fans at D23 and put Zeb right there front and center. But all three things that they showed, the Skeleton Crew trailer, the Andor sizzle reel, and the teaser for Mando and Grogu, all very, very good stuff. No new announcements. No announcements about future films, future series. They didn't touch on any of the other things that are in development. There was no mention of Ahsoka or no mention of Filoni's movie or the Rey movie or the James Mangold movie. And of course, no mention of Acolyte Season 2. Which was a bit of a surprise. I got to be honest. I thought that was definitely going to be something that would be addressed. And we'll talk some more about that in a little bit. But that was it for the Star Wars portion of the big Friday night panel at the Honda Center. Like I said, I was very satisfied with what we got, even though, in the back of my mind, I was maybe hoping for one more little surprise. But what they showed us delivered. I'm happy. I'm excited about the future of Star Wars. I think it was a strong showing from Lucasfilm within this massive presentation that spanned every possible Disney production house you could think of. Marvel was there. National Geographic was there. David Blaine came out and did a card trick that involved every single person in the arena. It was insane. Pixar was there. Disney Animation Studios, the live action, all those live action remakes of Disney classics that they do for some reason. That was all part of this. And it, at least for me, and this is, maybe preaching to the choir, but the Star Wars stuff definitely stood out as something exciting and something that where there's a lot to be optimistic about, a lot to look forward to. We'll quickly touch on what else went down at the Honda Center. On Saturday, there was the Parks panel. I was not there for that, but of course, the announcement was made that that when the Mando and Grogu movie is coming out, there will be an update to the Millennium Falcon ride at Galaxy's Edge. So that's the Smuggler's Run ride. And going forward from that, then on, you'll be able to fly a mission with the Mandalorian and Grogu in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon. If you've been to one of the Disney parks where there's Galaxy's Edge recently, or really since Galaxy's Edge opened, you'll know that there's one mission that you do on the Millennium Falcon. It's stealing coaxium for the Resistance with Chewbacca and Hondo, and I love that experience. It's really one of my favorite rides. But I've always hoped that they would update it and include more options. The one question I have is it going to be like Star Tours, which is one of the other Star Wars rides at Disney, where they rotate through a bunch of different experiences that you can have. Sometimes when you ride Star Tours, you go to Hoth. Sometimes you go to Naboo. Sometimes you go back to Jakku. Sometimes you go to Tatooine. Sometimes you go to Geonosis. Like, it covers a whole range of planets that you can go to. Whereas with the Millennium Falcon ride, there's just one. Will it be like that, where sometimes you're stealing coaxium with Hondo and Chewie, and then sometimes you're doing whatever Mando and Grogu are doing, or is the Mando and Grogu thing just going to replace the coaxium mission? I hope it rotates eventually, and that eventually we hit a point where there's like 5 or 6 different experiences you can get on the Millennium Falcon instead of just the one. But it's a cool update, and I'm excited to see where that goes in 2 years' time. And then on Sunday, there was the Disney Legends ceremony. This is kind of a lifetime achievement award ceremony, and Harrison Ford was honored, FrankOz was honored, and John Williams was honored. Both Harrison and Frank were both in attendance. They both gave really lovely acceptance speeches. They showed these really wonderful tributes to them on the big screen. John Williams unfortunately could not be in attendance, although Kathleen Kennedy and Harrison Ford spoke very kindly and warmly about John as they presented the award. And then a symphony was there, and they performed a medley of Williams's Star Wars and Indiana Jones music with a light show and a visual component with clips from the Star Wars and Indy movies. It was a really beautiful moment. And I've been to the Legends Awards every time that I've gone to D23. It's always one of my favorite things, just to see people, having their careers be honored. And John Williams, FrankOz, and Harrison Ford are certainly people who've earned that. So that about covers the Honda Center portion. There's also everything that was going down at the Anaheim Convention Center. There was tons of Star Wars stuff there. There were some costumes from Skeleton Crew that were on display. They were outside the Disney Plus booth. They were the pirate characters. So if you remember Vane from season 3 of Mandalorian, he's going to be back in Skeleton Crew, which is very exciting. And he's got a new gang with him. So they had some of those costumes on display outside the Disney Plus booth. As part of the auto show, as part of the car show, they had Rey's speeder, and they were blasting Rey's theme on the speakers on display, and really making everybody want to go back to Jakku, which was pretty cool. It's great to see that. And of course, there was the Lucasfilm booth, which went heavy on the VFX side of things. They had a portion of the volume setup. The volume, of course, being the 360-degree video wall that they used to create digital sets for the different Star Wars shows, like The Mandalorian, Book of Boba, Obi-Wan, Ahsoka. All of the shows have used it to some degree, and they basically set it up as a photo op. You can go on, stand in front of the volume wall, and pretend like you're in Star Wars. They'd project a background behind you. There was one where you were in an Imperial hangar. There was one where you were in a Rebel hangar, and there was one where you were on that sort of underworld planet with all the neon from Obi-Wan Kenobi. I can't think of what it is, but I went up there and did it twice. I did the Imperial hangar where I showed off my Rebel tattoo, and I did the Rebel hangar where I just kind of stood there not really knowing what to do because it was very early on day one, and I hadn't didn't know what I was getting in line for when I went up there, and they just said, look at the camera and stand next to R5, and that's what I did. But it was a lot of fun. It was really cool to do, and they also utilized the volume for some like mini panels that they did from the Lucasfilm booth. Some of these were about the tech of the volume. You had Rob Ridow and Doug Chang from Lucasfilm and ILM going over how they utilize the tech for design and for and for just using it as part of the sets. It was really interesting to hear them talk about it, and really gave me a new appreciation for the volume. The volume is one of those things sometimes we talk about, wanting to get out of the volume but back into the real world and real sets, practical effects, all that stuff. And while that's true, I think we also need to appreciate the volume as this incredible piece of technology. And hearing Rob Ridow and Doug Chang and others talk about it really did make me appreciate that. The team from Legacy Effects were also there. They were showing off how they make their puppets and how they utilize them on the sets for the various Star Wars shows. They had a Lothcat, and they showed us how they work it and how they give it such natural, realistic movement. Like you'd think, if you just looked at the head of that thing, you'd think that was a real animal. And then they show how there's a guy just off to the side controlling it like a marionette. It was really, really cool. The team from Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy also did a panel where they previewed the show, the 3-episode miniseries that's coming out next month, I think. They showed a new trailer. They announced new cast members, including Kelly Marie Tran, Naomi Ackie, and Billy D. Williams, reprising their roles from the Star Wars films, as well as some really familiar names from the world of Star Wars voice acting, like Shelby Young and Sam Witwer coming in to play characters. They're, of course, joining a cast that already includes people like Mark Hamill and Ahmed Best. So this show looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. It looks really funny. It was great to hear from the showrunners. You could really hear their passion for Star Wars, for comedy, for Lego. It all came through in that. There was also an animation look back featuring Vanessa Marshall, who, of course, plays Hera on Star Wars Rebels, and Athena Portillo, who's one of the producers over at the Lucasfilm Animation. They just kind of look back at some of their favorite moments from the Clone Wars, Bad Batch, Rebels, Resistance, and Tales of the Jedi and Tales of the Empire. It was a nice look back, especially if you're a big fan of Star Wars animation like I am. It was nice just to look back and remember the good old days. They sort of teased that they're working on something new, but they didn't make any announcements. So we'll have to wait and see. Maybe Celebration Japan, maybe sometime between now and then. That seems like when we'll hear some more about what the future of Star Wars animation will be. And then the other big thing that happened was Manny Jacinto. You know him as Kamir, you know him as the Stranger. He was one of the big stars of The Acolyte. He was there for a little look back at season 1. He took the stage on Saturday, and he answered questions from StarWars.com's Kristen Baver. They went over what it was like to get cast in the role, keeping the secrets, differentiating Kamir from the Stranger, all of the physicality involved in the role. It was really interesting to hear Manny talk about that. And he's just such a funny, charismatic guy. If you've seen him on The Good Place, you know how funny and energetic he can be. He's not like the Stranger at all. He's not really like Jason Mendoza either, but he's got that kind of fun vibe to him that you can definitely feel both in his performance as Kamir and in his other work, like on The Good Place. A lot of people were hoping, fingers were crossed, that maybe they would make an announcement for season 2 of The Acolyte there, but there was no announcement. Manny did say he hopes that they get to do more, but there's still no official word, which is disappointing. I was really hoping we'd come out of D23 with some clarity about what the future of The Acolyte is, and right now it still remains up in the air. Hopefully we get one of those random Tuesday announcements at some point, maybe in October or November, that just says, hey, guess what? We're going into production next year on Acolyte season 2, or we're going to do an Acolyte movie instead. We're going to do Darth Plagueis the Wise, a Star Wars story or something. That would be fun. That would be nice, but it doesn't. The future doesn't feel as bright for the Acolyte as it did, say, 6 weeks ago. So we'll see. We'll see where all that winds up. But there was a nice surprise left there for everybody in attendance at the Manny Jacinto Q&A. It was that everyone who was there would get a free poster and a free autograph from Manny. Manny stuck around for over 2 hours to meet and greet every single fan that was there. He signed all the posters. He was really kind, really genuine with everybody. I was one of the last people to go up and see him, and he was still super friendly, super nice. He was, just a great person, someone we're really lucky to have be part of Star Wars. And hopefully he gets to continue to be part of Star Wars as the future of the Stranger and Darth Plagueis and Osha and May and all the characters from the Acolyte continues to play out in some form on screen, hopefully in the not too distant future. But yeah, that was it for D23 for the most part. Tons of news, tons of cool Star Wars things to see. It was a great time, and I was really glad I was able to be there. I was glad I was able to bring a lot of the convention to you all through social media. Shout out to Ben for accepting for being willing to accept all the messages I was sending him of saying, "Can you post this on social media? Can you post that on social media?" He steps up as he always does. But yeah, that's it from me. That's it for D23 for the D23 look back. I likely won't be back next week either, but who knows? Maybe I'll have something else to send in a video about, although it likely won't be quite as long as this one. But enjoy the rest of the show. I'm sure there's a great Skeleton Crew breakdown coming up, or maybe has already happened. And hopefully I'll see it. If not next week, then the week after. Thanks for listening. Thanks for following along. Enjoy the rest of the show. It's a wrap for me.
Well. Thanks so much, Dom, for the incredible and comprehensive report from D23. We're glad you enjoy it, and also we hate you, for the record.
Happy for you. So happy for you, bud. Yeah. Glad you got to enjoy all those things.
Okay, so Jesse, we were talking before the show. You are not caught up in all on D23. You've been kind of out of the loop on things. So this is probably the first time you're hearing a lot of this. Because he kind of gave a pretty comprehensive breakdown. We'll get into the minutia of it, but what was the biggest thing that stuck out to you at first after hearing all that?
Kind of all of it. Like each little new piece of drop was like, okay, like I'd heard bits and pieces of, kind of like you said, but like this was like the announcements for all of it instead of, oh yeah, this is in the works. And so being able to see like the Skeleton Crew one, for example, something that we first learned about in Anaheim, even though it was just like the name drop, and I don't remember if they actually told us what the story was going to be or if it was just new show. But getting it back then and then like now, like seeing the trailer and being like, okay, this is kind of on par with what I expected, but at the same time, not really. And just all the other announcements have been amazing, and hearing about what you get to see with Mando and Grogu and stuff, because I didn't get to see any of that footage. So it's like, okay, this is going to be pretty good. I'm glad we're getting this. It's about time.
Yeah, there's a lot of, like, I've seen most everything because there was a certain someone who shall remain nameless who recorded all of the trailers and posted them to Twitter as they were happening. So the Andor trailers out there, the Mandalorian Grogu trailers out there. There's a bunch of other ones, like, and the Thunderbolts trailer like leaked like the yesterday, like that's out there now. There's a whole bunch of them.
Oh, really? That one's out there. Ben,
yeah.
If you know a way, can you send me that one? I need to see that one.
It's on my Twitter. I retweeted it. It's there.
Thank you, Ben.
If you can't find it, I'll just get it for you. Get it, it's fine. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I personally totally have not seen the Thunderbolt trailer, but I heard it was out there. I mean, I think you're a bit more apprised to what's going on, Chad. What are your kind of first impressions of D23 and what everything Dom had to say?
I mean, seeing people's pictures of in front of the video wall looks cool. Lucky that you could do that. That would be cool to have a picture in front of that too. Yes. I mean, like it's seeing the pictures of the pirates and Skeleton Crew was awesome too as well. Like that's like, oh, it's cool. We get a good up look close on some of the pirates. Like I like what's the dude with the 3 eyes? I don't remember their names.
It's a grand dude. Yeah.
Yeah. With
the eye patch.
Is he a really good mime?
Is it okay? It's not just me. Chad, come back. I'm just glad it's not just me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Chad. Okay, yeah, literally, he's just gone. Sorry, Chad. Just come back when you can. Yeah. Do you have anything to add to that, Jesse?
Yeah, so I wasn't even thinking about like the pictures and stuff of like being in front of like the volume and stuff, and I'm just like, yeah, that is an experience. And then I love how he's like, it was really early in the morning. I didn't know I was getting into, so I did just stand there. And I'm like, yeah, that's probably what I would do too. But then just looking around, like the experience isn't the picture, probably it's the waiting in line or whatever the process was for that. And so just imagining like how long you're in that area.
Right. Yeah, that's really cool. Like the interactive stuff is just ridiculously cool. Like the fact that they had the volume, because I think a lot of people have turned on the volume recently and be like, volume, blah blah blah, this, and it's still a really cool filmmaking tool, and to see it up close and personal, and you could actually like see it from behind too, I believe. So that was really getting this full thing to get like being able to take your picture in it. Come on, that's so cool. Like that's ridiculous. But yeah, it's just I think the behind the scenes aspect I think is something that is really cool, and they had a lot of great like pop-up panels too. Like they weren't really like in panel rooms, they were like on the stage at the Lucasfilm booth, which I think is an interesting concept. I'm curious, that's one question. If Dom had actually been here, I would ask him like, how does that actually work? Because is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because obviously it can be hard to get into panel rooms, but it's also can be hard to just get up to a stage. So that is neither here nor there. Hey, look, Jesse, right before the show, I believe you watched the Skeleton Crew trailer for the very first time.
Yes.
And I'm very curious to get your first impressions of that trailer. So take it away.
So that the trailer wasn't just like me seeing the trailer for the first time. It was because I've heard rumors about Skeleton Crew and like cast announcements, but like story wise and stuff like that, all I knew was we got some kids that are like lost in space, but it's Star Wars. Like that was my basic understanding of what Skeleton Crew was. Lost in space with one mentor style person. And so then when the trailer starts, it's like, oh, we're just going with some, the basic kids. Like, they're not younglings or, they're not part of like a pirate crew. These are just kids living their life in what looks to be the equivalent of a suburban lifestyle, where they show us the suburban home style of the Star Wars universe, and they have like their iPads and their cars and their nice clean lawns and just your upper middle class home style like neighborhood, it kind of seemed like, but in a Star Wars world. And then we're like, all right, we're going to take this and we're going to throw them into the Star Wars universe now. Like, yeah, they lived in Star Wars, but they weren't in Star Wars, because all these stories are always about the heroics and stuff. And like, no, we're starting with, here's Tim, John, Sandy, and Chuck. Or, just, the basics. They're like, all right, now they get to have a Star Wars experience. And then we go to, we're lost. Like, we're like lost, and then it pans. It's like, ooh, this is good, and still no sign of the mentor. Like the whole trailer, I'm like, where is he? I want to see him. And then finally, towards the end, like, are you a Jedi? Which, do we ever get confirmation that he's playing as a Jedi, or is there a chance that this could be like a Sith who's like doing something nefarious? Like,
well, I was gonna save it for later, but I'll get into it now. Also, hi,
sorry,
Chad.
I didn't mean to jump the shark there. And welcome back, Chad.
I'm back. My Wi-Fi decided to take its weekly chance to reboot right this second. So
it's always at the perfect time, isn't it? It's just the perfect time for that.
It's like, hey, you know what? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna crash on you. So I'm back. I'm back on my phone. So yeah.
Yeah, I want to get your first impressions on the Skeleton Crew trailer in a moment, but I do want to bring up, since you brought it up, Jesse, because there is a lot of lot of the reigning theory right now that I've heard from several people is that maybe he's a Jedi, but maybe he's not a Jedi. Maybe he's not even Force sensitive. Maybe he is this con man dude, a la Haja from Obi-Wan Kenobi. Someone who is kind of like posing as a Jedi, or like you see the key. Again, we're jumping straight to the end of the trailer, but who cares? Like the key is kind of floating, and it's kind of like, yeah, it looks like it could be on a string. Is that because that's how they did it in reality for the production, or is it supposed to look like that because that's how he's doing it in the thing? I'm very curious about that. I just like the idea of like, you know, he's maybe someone who is kind of playing up on that, and the fact that the kid, I forget the kid's name, but like the main kid, the curly head kid,
I think it is.
When, yes. Okay, so
When.
he like earlier on in the trailer, he's like, "Oh, we are in a abandoned Jedi temple, blah 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 blah," and then like he's kind of talking about Jedi, like Jedi is his thing, like he's like #1 Jedi fan, like that's his fandom. Like I think he's projecting a lot of this, and it's not like Jude Law, because I cannot for the life of me even say. I don't understand. No, Siri, go away. He just starts talking to Amy. Like, what? No, not the time. For the life of me, I cannot remember, nor can I say Jude Law's character's name. Not gonna try that now. But he doesn't say I'm a Jedi. It's like Wynn going, "Oh, are you? You're a Jedi?" And I could see him like going like, "Oh yeah, I am a Jedi." Blah, blah, blah. Like I could see that happening. So, maybe he's a Force sensitive. Maybe he's not. Maybe he is a Jedi. But I think it might be more interesting if he wasn't. But okay, Chad, I'm curious.
Yes.
You've had a little bit of time to sit with the trailer. What did you think of it overall?
I think it's a decent trailer. I'm not 100% sold on the show yet. The opening, the pictures that they showed, like a week, 2 weeks ago, I'm like, all right, okay, iffy. I love Neil. I don't know what I love the little elephant dude. He's awesome. But like the trailer, I'm not a big Amblin fan, so like I guess it didn't really do a whole lot for me. But I thought it was a decent trailer. I'm excited to see the pirates. So, as a pirate fan.
Right. Like for me, I think my trailer impressions are I was whelmed. Wasn't overwhelmed. I wasn't underwhelmed. I was whelmed by the trailer. It was pretty much exactly what I expected. It was as described as we heard months and even at this point years ago. I was just like, oh, it's a Amblin style kid story in the Star Wars universe, and they steal a ship and they get caught up in this things, and there's pirates, and you know, and there's this Jedi dude that maybe he's Jedi, maybe he's not. Like that was all there. So like it gave me what I was expecting. Is it my most anticipated Star Wars series of all time? Not really. But I'm very much optimistic about it because I think it's something, at the very least, it's different. I haven't again, it's just like people will, you know, obviously get angry about Star Wars a lot of times because it's the same old thing and they're just doing A New Hope again. And then they will get something different, like say The Acolyte. And they're like, oh, this is too different. I can't handle this. It's not the Star Wars that I used to know. And, you know, I think this is something that, like, it feels Star Wars, but it also is something different, so I appreciate that. But we got a lot of interesting thing, and ultimately, I think the trailer is just it's a fun little romp and look at the galaxy. I think seeing Star Wars, how do we feel? We see the suburbs, basically. We're seeing like this middle class, quote unquote, normal neighborhood. We've never seen this in Star Wars before. We've seen politicians and Jedi and generals and rich people and poor people, but we've never seen like just kind of normal people. What do we make of the Star Wars suburbs?
I still don't know what to make of it, if I'm being honest with myself, because like I saw it and I was like, at first I was on the side of the fence where I was like, this is, I didn't want to be like, this isn't Star Wars, this isn't my Star Wars, but like it just visually, I was just like, this does not feel like Star Wars right now. So, but then like it zooms in and we kind of see a little bit of the insides of like how the suburban lifestyle lives in the universe for at least 15 seconds, I would say, spread throughout. And I'm like, okay, I can kind of see this working a little bit more. I'll have to wait and see how much, because I'm assuming most of that's going to be the beginning of episode 1, most likely will be on the suburban front. So I feel like we won't be there for long. So, but we'll see once it starts if it's like, yeah, okay, I like this. It's like, do I actually like this, or am I just like, yeah, no?
Yeah, I agree. Chad, do you have anything to add to that? I think you're muted.
Okay, there we go. I muted my mic thing. No, not really. No, I missed most of the conversation because my headphones didn't want to connect to my computer now because I disconnected it. But
yeah, we're just glad to have you back.
Yeah, I'm back. I missed most of the conversation, but I'm here.
Starting over, we got a video from Dom.
No, not too far back. But yeah, I mean, we got like there's an Ithorian walking a dog. Like there's, it's like a normal kind of Earth looking planet. They've got, these bikes, these hover bikes. It's very Goonies, and I even got some some kind of Indiana Jones vibes from this. Like it kind of like, oh, they're in this kind of burned out ship. There's skeletons, blah 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 blah, and I think it's a really cool thing. The production value and everything.
Hence the skulls on that poster that leaked like a month and a half ago.
The Skeleton Crew.
Oh, that's what they call it.
There's a crew of skeletons. I don't know, maybe they're gonna go all Pirates of the Caribbean and come to life or something. I don't know. But it is. I mean, it's creepy. It's fun. But I think what I'm hoping is that this is something that kind of like appeals to everyone. It's obviously, I think they're gearing it more towards kids, but it's still not going to be like for kids. So hopefully some adults will get out of it. But ultimately, I hope the kids are happy. The adults really don't deserve anything. The adults have been too whiny lately. They need to just shut up about it.
True.
But I mean, yeah, it's a really nice, cool looking trailer. We got a lot of looks at the different characters. I'm not sure what's up with some of them. Obviously we still have the visor looking kid, which she looks human. She kind of takes it up and takes it down. I'm not sure what's going on there. We were theorizing that maybe she was blind, but I don't think that's the case. Like maybe it's just like an augmentation or something.
I think she's just got a cool visor. Some people just have cool visors on.
Yeah, fair enough. You're allowed to have cool visors. But yeah, it's very Spielbergian. I like the cinematography is really good. There's some great shots of flashlights in fog and things jumping the light speed, and it's a cool looking show.
It's a very beautiful trailer. Like it's a good looking trailer. I there's just nothing in this trailer that really spoke to me as this is gonna be awesome. I can't wait to see this. It's just like, oh, okay. I was like, oh yeah, all right.
Right. Yeah, I think
I kind of want to come at it like the Acolyte almost and be like, because do we have confirmation yet of when this takes place?
It's in that New Republic era. So
we're assuming. Okay, so Vane, the dude that was part of the Gorian Shards gang, he's in this.
That legend.
Yeah, so we're assuming this is after Mandalorian season 3. We're assuming this is kind of like consequential. Just like Ahsoka was seemingly confirmed to be after Mandalorian season 3. This would be after that. But also maybe, I mean, who knows? Because this show was supposed to come out a year ago and it didn't. So, but not a lot's happened in the Mandoverse in the past year other than Ahsoka. So, who knows? But I think the assumption is like the MCU, like it's taking place now. We're following the timeline. Whatever we saw last took place, earlier, and then whatever comes next is next.
Yeah. So if we're assuming that it's at that point in time, we really don't know much about what's happening in the future of that. So I think the big question is going to be, how does this actually affect, is this going to be a one-off adventure story, or is it going to try to pull in, are we going to see Thrawn or something like in a weird way, or, or just like I feel like there's going to be people looking at it from that point of view also before they were like, yeah, I really want to watch this. They're going to want to know, do I need to watch this, or is this a one-off?
I really feel like it's going to be a one-off. I don't think it's going to do what Book of Boba Fett did, where it, like, took 2 episodes and it was like, oh, hey, it is part of the Mando. Here's Mandalorian himself. I don't think, like, they better not just make like 2 episodes of Mando. It's Mando season 4.5. So hopefully, I do think it's just going to be a one-off adventure kind of thing. Maybe they'll make another season. Maybe they won't. Who knows?
Yeah, I think I was wondering that earlier today. I'm like, okay, is this going to be a multi-season show, or is this going to be a one-off show? Like, this was shot a couple of years ago. These kids are growing, like similar to how the Stranger Things cast like grew really quick, and it's hard to like, they're still playing kids, but they're actually adults. I'm very curious, like, will they show up in other things? Obviously, will there be cameos in this one? I threw it out there last week that maybe we could see Carson Teva show up, and we have some X-Wings in this trailer, so it seems like a likely option that maybe he would show up, or maybe not. Maybe they're just random X-Wings, and we'll get things, or maybe freaking Mando and Grogu will show up. Maybe they'll go that far.
See, I could see like Carson showing up. I think that's how they'll like tie it in. Here's Carson Teva. Maybe here's Dave Filoni's character, Trapper Wolf. Like maybe they'll do that. I could see that, but I don't think they'll go. Here's Mando and Grogu right now. But
not every show needs Mando and Grogu to take over for an episode. They don't need that. As much as we love those characters,
hopefully they learn their lesson with the Book of Boba Fett. That you can't just call a show the Book of Boba Fett and then have everybody be super excited that the Mandalorian just took over 2 of his episodes. So.
Yeah, and I feel like any one of the characters we are talking about right now would like instantly solve the problem that these kids are having. Just like, they need to get home. Well, Mando and Grogu would help them get home, but you don't need that. You need them to kind of like go on this adventure. And I get the impression that like Jude Law's character may be trying to help them, but maybe he doesn't want to help them at first, and that's kind of what sets them down further this line of thought. But yeah, I really do hope it's like a more standalone thing, and then if they want to bring them back for another season or whatever else, or do more tie-ins or whatever else, I don't see like when we have the Mandoverse movie, whatever we're calling it, the Heir to the Empire. I don't like expect these kids to show up like Avengers style and be like, we're here too to fight Thrawn. Like, I'm not really expecting that.
Yeah, I would be surprised if they showed up in the movie. I would be surprised if they even did a second season of the show. This one kind of feels like Kenobi, where it was a one-off, and I think it'll be a one-off. I wouldn't be surprised if it did get renewed. I hope they don't do the Stranger Things thing where everybody's in their like almost in their 30s and they're playing 10-year-olds. So
I mean, I don't know. Stranger things have happened. Wink, wink. But we shall see. As Dom mentioned, we got this great teaser poster. They call it key art, whatever you want to call it. Great posters. Got this very thing. It's got the bikes on one side and the ship on the Onyx Cinder is the name of the ship. And I believe where they're going into the Jedi Temple, I think it's the ship is buried in the ground, and they like activate it or something like that. So that's pretty interesting. And apparently, I don't know, has anybody here ridden or watched Captain EO?
No.
First time I'm hearing of it.
Never heard of it until I saw somebody post something on Twitter, and I was like, what?
Okay, so quick history lesson here, and this is literally all I know. Captain EO was a ride/film at Disney World,
an experience,
and like an experience thing. It was created in tandem by Michael Jackson and George Lucas and maybe Francis Ford Coppola. There was a few other people that were involved.
Francis Ford, I've been told this on other podcasts. Francis Ford Coppola directed the thing, and apparently it's like this a ride experience thing, or was like a ride experience thing in the 80s.
It's like Star Wars, but it's not Star Wars. It's Michael Jackson's Star Wars, so you can imagine how weird that might be. But apparently, one of the aliens, specifically, there's like a pink alien in a cage that's like flying around, and that character is from Captain EO. So, Captain EO is canon, maybe?
Again, never knew it was a thing until last week. So,
the
last weekend. So,
this video, if there's just here's a POV or something video.
That's what I'm, because I'm assuming.
I think there's a video on YouTube right now.
Okay, Michael Jackson, Captain EO 4K remastered on YouTube. It's 17 minutes. All right, I know what I'm doing after the show. I'm going to educate myself on Captain EO.
We watched 22 minutes of Dom. Let's watch this.
If we didn't get copyright strike, we would be watching Captain EO right this second. Okay, but that's all your homework tonight. After you get home, is to go watch Captain EO. So we're all caught up. We know what we're talking about next week.
Yep.
Anything else?
In-depth SWU review of Captain EO is going to be on topic for next week, folks.
Oh yeah, yeah, nailed it. Anything else anybody wants to bring up about the trailer? Any impressions? Because it's not like a super dense trailer. I mean, it kind of just gives us a little brief overview of the plot. We get some cool images. It's not like there's big, huge cameos like that. It's just like a kind of a tone poem, if you will.
I think Chad covered it whenever he said it was a good trailer.
Yeah, I mean it's a
good trailer.
It wasn't over and all up in your face about anything. It wasn't. I don't feel like there were any spoilers hidden in there that were major plot based, or so it didn't over deliver and it didn't under deliver. It gave us, here's the 4 kids. They go here, something happens, now they're here, this guy shows up. This is
yeah.
It did what a trailer needs to do.
Yeah, I mean it's a solid trailer. Not super excited for the show, but I always love watching Star Wars, so ready to watch the new Star Wars. So
yeah, I'm not I'm stoked for the show. Okay, I'm eager to watch this show. I'm interested to watch this show, and I feel like that's the way I want to be, because often I will have very high expectations and be disappointed by things. So I appreciate when you're going to be just okay, this is a thing, and I'm just going to watch it, and I'm just going to enjoy it. And if it blows me away, it blows me away. And so, I don't know. Maybe they've said, I don't know how many episodes it's going to be, but I think it's going to be it's going to be a nice Christmas thing to watch. If you got kids, hopefully you'll sit down. If you don't have kids like me, you just watch it by yourself and enjoy it, hopefully.
Yep.
Or if you're like me and you have a kid that doesn't like Star Wars, you still just sit and watch it by yourself, and she calls you obsessed for watching Star Wars.
Oh, that's bad. Not only does your kid not into it, but she roasts you over it.
It's okay. I've trained her well in the arts. She just isn't aware of it.
You're sneaking it in. You're sneaking it in. That's great. That's great. Well, like I said, the trailer's out there. Definitely go give it a watch if you haven't already. And it comes out December 3rd, which is, I mean, this is actually the promotion for this show is actually starting a good bit before a lot of other shows still, but still, you know, it's not that far away. I'll tell you how far away it is. It is, if I can find it, 110 days away.
There you go.
Or 3 months, 17 days, 22 hours, 49 minutes, and 4 seconds.
Ben's got it on his counter, so
I keep track of these things, okay? I have no life, okay? This is all I have.
Somebody has to count these things.
Someone's got to do it. Might as well be me. So something else that's a bit further away. Dominic talked about it, but we'll talk a little bit about it too. Get some impressions on this. The Mandalorian and Grogu. It got a new logo. We got some stuff. We got Dave and John and Dave Favloni up on stage talking about this movie, talking about bringing Star Wars back to the big screen. And Filoni was like, yeah, I saw Iron Man, and I was like, this guy can make a great Star Wars movie, and he did. So yeah, and they confirmed that they've been, as of D23, they'd only been shooting for a couple weeks now. So yeah, it's officially in production. I was hoping we would get something along the lines of like a set picture or something confirming that they were actually doing things, but no, they just mention it off the top. But it was confirmed. They didn't give like a specific date, even though there is a date set by the Disney schedule, like this Disney cinematic schedule of May 2026. So not a specific date, but a month day of things. So a couple of years away. Actually, I'll tell you, it is 645 days until The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Just so close, guys. We're almost there.
Just a hop, skip, and a jump. We'll be there. So yeah, there was a lot of good stuff in there. Did you see the trailer, Chad?
I did. I may have watched it. I don't know. May or may not have watched it. I don't know.
May or may not.
But yes, I did watch it. It was it's a fun watch. I'm excited for it. Terrible name. I hate the Mandalorian and Grogu. Just call it the Mandalorian movie or like the Grogu. Like just call it Grogu. Like I think people would go if it would just call it Grogu. But
I have some thoughts on that. I'm gonna say, but we have a question about this topic, and I'll save my thoughts until then. Spoiler alert: I don't hate the name, and I understand why they're doing it. But I also understand why somebody would hate it. So I'm
not gonna call it like Mango or whatever Hannah wants to call it.
No, I'm on Hannah's train. We're gonna have a fight about this when she gets back because I'm just
gonna call it. It's the
Mandalorian Mangu or something. Right?
Mangu, yeah, Mangu. That's so much easier to say. Just it's the Mangu movie.
I'm on board with
Mandalorian.
Like I'm on Team Raeside for this one.
Okay. So you guys just stick around. When we get back, it'll be me and Jesse versus me and Jesse and Hannah versus Dom and Chad. Let's go.
Got it. Also, in your notes here, it says the Snow Troopers. I completely forgot the Snow Troopers showed up in that.
Yeah.
trailer.
So for those who didn't see it, and Dom kind of went over everything, but there's a snow base. There's Din beating up on some Snow Troopers. There's obviously Zeb Aurelios is back. There's a new Razor Crest, which kind of makes sense to me that like, oh yeah, okay, that's what Din wanted to begin with, and if he's like doing bounties and stuff like this, he would want a new Razor Crest.
I'm gonna be curious to see how they explain that, because you blew up his iconic ship, you gave him another very iconic ship of an N1, and then in the movie you're going to be like, oh, he's got it back. or if they're
Well,
just going to
now
be
he's going to have a crew, so he won't be able to fit 5 people in the Starfighter. So they're going to have to get a bigger ship, and someone's going to be like, "I knew you liked these. We've been working on it," and they're just like, "Here it is, brand new. Yeah, we've been working on it since the last one blew up. We just couldn't tell you."
It's like Melipoto. It's Melipoto. Pelimoto.
Yeah,
Melipoto.
As soon as he flew off in the Starfighter,
she's like, "All right, we're gonna
immediately she was getting the pieces she could to start rebuilding.
She just ordered it on Star Wars eBay. So,
and look, as much as I hate to admit it, like it does play into this long running, let's just say, gag of the Mandalorian absolutely backtracking on every single thing. Like Grogu goes to Luke, and no, he's back with Din. And then he has the dark saber, and he's going to use it. No, he doesn't have the dark saber, and now he lost the Razor Crest. Now he has another Razor Crest.
To be fair, Grogu chose to go back. That wasn't on Mando.
Yeah, but also it happened in a different fucking.
He's already learning. He's already learning from Father. He's like, nope, got to go back on my word.
It also happened in a different.
This is the way.
Too. If I didn't know anything about Star Wars and I was like, I'm going to watch this Mandalorian thing, and I watched the kid leave with this Jedi guy, and I'm like, that's cool. And then I watched season 3, and I'm like, wait a second, where'd he get the new ride? Why's the kid back?
Yeah, how are they going to explain? Like, did he sell the other N1? Like, I'm curious.
I hope he keeps it. I love N1s. I love that N1.
Maybe that becomes Grogu's like personal, because didn't he fly back to Luke on his own, or back to Mando on his own?
No, R2D2.
He flew from
R2D2 Ubered him there.
R2 brought him.
But he did. No, he did. In what, 3rd episode of Mando season 3, he told R4 to take him back to Bo-Katan that one time.
Yeah, so he does have a little bit of experience, I guess, at this point. So maybe, and he loved going fast in the Starfighter, so maybe he has an aptitude for piloting, like certain other Jedi that we know of.
Maybe.
And so maybe it becomes his personal craft. And Mando's honestly at the point where he's like, I'm going to let Kid do what Kid wants to do, because if he gets in that thing, I can't stop him, but I can at least stay with him.
Yeah. Kid can drive the hot rod. I'll drive the minivan.
Matthew Hardy brings up an interesting point in the chat. This movie is going to be going head to head with Avengers Doomsday, apparently, and May of 2026. And all I can say is, Bob Iger, Disney, please don't do this again. Don't pull a Solo again, please.
I think they're gonna pull a Solo again, but I think unlike Solo, they're actually gonna market this movie. Because they did not market Solo, so they're gonna market
will win
the heck out of Mando and Grogu. They're gonna be like, "Yo, Grogu, you know that little green guy you love? He's in a movie." Everybody, they're just gonna throw posters everywhere for that. And also, I think it is probably gonna beat out Avengers Doomsday. Granted, it is the return of RDJ, but.
Yeah, I don't know. We shall see. But I don't know if you're Disney, why you take 2 of your biggest movies of the year and pit them against each other.
We also have plenty of time for them to announce a change of release date for either one, to push it to a different release schedule. And maybe they'll look at it and be like, oh, who in marketing didn't realize that we own both these properties again? Like, we've already done this once before. Like, let's move one of them.
I feel like the whole.
Go ahead, man. Okay, part of me feels like Avengers will be the one that would move.
I mean, I feel like both of these are kind of like up in the air. Like, one of them just started shooting, and the other one is like they just revealed it, and who the heck knows when it's going to start shooting.
Yeah.
I feel like it's all this stuff is up in the air. Marvel changes their schedule. Star Wars changes as schedule so many times. So we'll just have to see. Not gonna panic about it yet. Not yet. Another one that we got is the Andor season 2 trailer. Won't get too far into this because it's kind of more of the same. If you've seen any of the previous trailers. But we did get a confirmation of a few different characters coming back. We got, of course, Alan Tudyk coming back as K2. We got Ben Mendelsohn coming back as Director Orson Krennic. Alistair Petrie as General Davis Draven. Duncan Powell as Rushkat Melshi. Forrest Whitaker as Saw Gerrera. And Faye Marseille as Vel Sartha. And of course, that's in addition to, obviously, Genevieve O'Reilly as Mon Mothma and Stellan Skarsgård as Luthen Rael and a bunch of others. And this was kind of confirmed to the trailer, and there were some big moments for Ben Mendelsohn. Also, side note, Alistair Petrie retweeted our announcement of this today with a little winky face emoji, seemingly confirming that he is definitely, if it wasn't already apparent, back as General Draven. And just for those who haven't seen the trailer, like, it looks kind of like Rogue One. Like, straight up, it looks a lot like Rogue One, which I'm really excited about.
Yeah, it's again, if you haven't seen it, it's mostly like a highlight reel of just like they're interviewing. Like, I think it was Diego was just doing an interview and they were just showing clips of it. I'm excited to see Ben Mendelsohn back. I love Director Krennic. When Melshi showed up in season 1, made me super happy. He's one of my favorite characters. I don't know why, from Rogue One. So I'm happy to see him back in this. Makes sense too, because he was such a big part of Rogue One. And it's same thing with Draven as well.
Yeah, I'm having trouble remembering Draven right now from season 1. He said General, so now I'm like trying to remember.
He's in Rogue One. He's like Cassian's superior.
Okay. I couldn't remember if he was on Empire side or Rebel side.
Yeah, he was the one who he told Cassian to kill Lars Mikkelsen. Not Lars Mikkelsen, the other Mikkelsens.
Galen, yeah. He's like, I think I was just thinking today, he's actually literally the first person you hear in the first Rogue One trailer. He's the stolen Imperial documents, resisting arrest, listing off Jyn Erso's crimes in the first trailer. So yeah, it's really cool to have him back.
Honestly, I'm not really surprised by most of these announcements, like out of the casting list. Like, they all seem like, it makes sense for all of these characters to make an appearance at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So but like, to have confirmation is like, okay, cool. We're gonna get to see some good stuff this season, since we are covering like a 4-year gap in space, so they're not gonna have a lot of time in each time frame to show us stuff. So it's like, yes, we're getting the good bits, the actiony stuff, at least for some of it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's just this season. This is my most anticipated Star Wars thing. Andor season 2 is up there.
Easily is. I was watching Andor season 1 before we started this, so I was mid on that show when it first came out, but I love Andor season 1, and I'm super excited for season 2. I'm curious to see if they'll throw a little bit of Hera our way, maybe a little bit of Zeb.
Because I mean,
maybe
and this isn't. Diego Luna talked a lot about this, and he hasn't this is not really news, but it's information that's interesting. But the thing is, the fact that they keep talking about the fact that this is going to be they had the episode arcs in season 1. Like, this is going to be, instead of like these certain blocks of episodes, it's also going to be, okay, they're jumping ahead a year. Like, every 3 or 4 episodes, they're going to jump ahead a year, and it's going to lead up to Rogue One. And they've basically, quote unquote, spoiled the ending to say that, like, the last scene of Andor is going to be like 5 minutes before the first scene of Rogue One. Like, it's going to be like, Diego said straight up, like, well, if you're watching the series finale, like, set aside another 2 hours, because you're going to want to watch Rogue One immediately after you finish.
Obviously, I'm going to watch Rogue One immediately afterwards.
And then when you get done with Rogue One, you're gonna want to watch A New Hope. So it's just
might as well.
tandem.
And then once you're
it
done,
sounds just like that, where it's like you watch the end of Rogue One, and then you have like the 5-minute window or whatever of Vader getting the troops ready. You know, there's that 5-minute window you don't see between movies, so it seems like they're just it worked for the movie that we're prequeling, so let's just have it feed into that again.
and then I guess once you're done with A New Hope, you just might as well move into Empire. And then once you're done with Empire, might as well move into Return of the Jedi. Once you're done with that, might as well move into Mando. You know, just keep it going.
And then
Well,
and
no,
then
you have
once
to
you get
follow
to
the proper order, because at that point you have to be like, okay, now I need Darth Vader's story. So now you go back to episode 1.
True.
Yeah, they're really screwing over like this whole thing that started with The Force Awakens: The Last Jedi. Like, they're really screwing over the people that want to write stories like in between stories, because there's no room in between any of these stories. Like, they're going right, there's no room between Force Awakens: The Last Jedi. There's no room between Andor and Rogue One, and no room between Rogue One and A New Hope. Ridiculous.
I mean, there's still 4 years. We're only seeing like 3 episodes of those 4 years of Andor's story. I will be curious to see if they actually do how he meets K2SO, or if they're just gonna like keep that comic canon and they're just pals already. But
they
I
just
would
gloss over that 6-month window, and that happens off screen.
Yeah, but I would assume we see how he and K2 meets.
I would be willing to bet that canon will be considered no longer. The comic will be considered no longer canon after this. Which honestly, as much as I do don't like them overwriting continuity, fine. Just do it. It's fine. I do like, one of my favorite moments for the trailer is like there's a scene where it's Cassian and K2 and Melshi, and they're flying a U-wing, and it's like, this is Rogue One, guys. This is straight up Rogue One.
I'm so excited to see him and Melshi reunite, because I love Melshi.
Yeah.
I love Melshi in season 1 too. How he's just always trying to like tell him that like, no, we got to get out of here and stuff.
And,
it's like,
and
great.
I think one of the lines is K2 being like, "Oh, I think have I now proven my usefulness to you now?" Like, they're kind of like on the outs with K2. They aren't quite trusting him yet. So yeah, it's really cool. And there's like a TIE interceptor in one of the shots. There's a lot of stuff in there.
There's some good shots of him and Mon Mothma. It seems like he's going to be the one who helps Mon Mothma escape at first, and then somehow she meets up with the Rebels crew. So.
And there's another shot that was not in the trailer. It was in the celebration footage they showed off a while ago, and it's on our socials. If you haven't seen it, just go back on our Twitter or Facebook and go find it and go links. But it's Cassian all gussied up and dressed up for like a formal party.
Yeah, I think that one was also that was also shown in that trailer, if I remember right. There was definitely him looking James Bond like. So
yeah, I'm just very excited. We got a confirmation of Krennic coming back. I mean, we knew K2SO was going to show up, but getting Krennic, getting Draven, getting Saw Gerrera, really cool.
I am curious on the Krennic one, like how much he's going to be in it. If he's just going to be in an arc, or if he's just going to show up and mess with shoot, I was just watching it. What's the Imperial officer's name?
You had to ask.
I was literally just watching that show.
Tarkin?
Character
no,
names,
not
like
Tarkin.
One, every name goes out the window.
Yeah, no, right. No, it's the ISB officer.
You're talking about Wolf Yularen.
No, not Wolf. The one that he's like that Cyril's with.
Or
crushing on.
Or Callus?
No, the one Cyril.
I'm going down the list of ISB officers here. Give me a break.
The blonde.
Yeah.
The one in Andor, the main one. What's her name?
Oh, Dedra Miro.
Yeah, Dedra.
No, the one that's actually in the other season, the one I couldn't think of.
Yeah. I gave up trying to guess the name as soon as you asked for a name. I was like, I'll just try to help get identifying features out there.
The main character, the main bad guy in that show.
Oh,
I'd be curious to see if like she ties in. I know they mentioned Scarif in season 1, so I will be curious to see how much Ben mentions.
Yeah, I really want to see Krennic and Miro face off. Like that's going to be a really interesting dynamic because I think just having Krennic, I think ultimately it makes it feel very connected to Rogue One. It feels like you're getting closer to Rogue One because you're starting to see all these people that we know show up in Rogue One. So yeah, it's really cool. Jesse, did you actually? I know it was rumored, but did you know anything? Had you heard anything about Krennic or any of these guys showing up previously?
I think I had seen stuff. I know I had seen stuff about K2SO, and I'm pretty sure I saw some of the Krennic stuff, but the other ones, no.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I'm glad they're
didn't
not
see,
trying.
like, the
I'm glad
trailer
they're
or
not trying to
anything.
keep it a secret.
Again, like Draven and Melser showing back up and Saw Gerrera at that makes all sense. Like, makes sense to have these guys that are big in Cassian's story and Rogue One back. So,
yeah
I'm
cool.
excited.
Very excited. We still don't have a date on Andor season 2, but sometime next year. I don't care. It could be December 31st for all I care. As long as we get it.
I forgot to
Take
ask,
your time.
but for the Mandalorian and Grogu, do you think they're just gonna, after they're done filming the movie, do you think they'll just jump into production on the season 4 of the show?
I mean, it's a good question. I'm on the fence about it. I really am. Now I'm on the fence about do they, after putting Mando and Grogu on the big screen, do they then go immediately back to small screen stuff, or are they movie characters now?
See, I wonder if they'll do season 4 and then the movie. That's because we don't know what's happening late next year, because we assume Andor's going to be like March, April, or like early next year. We don't know anything late next year. So I'm guessing maybe they film the movie and then go, all right, Mando season 4, here's how we lead up to the movie, and then here's the movie. But who knows?
I mean, it's possible. I don't know. I am curious if and when season 4 happens, like what's that going to be? Or are they going to be more along the lines of let's lead Mandalorian and Grogu into the Heir to the Empire movie and let Filoni work in tandem? Or maybe, I mean, if Mandalorian, they may be waiting for the Mandalorian Grogu to get some good feedback and some good money so that they can start greenlighting more movies. Because I think if they can work the Mandalorian into a movie franchise, I think they will do it.
Most likely.
Either way, we're getting more Mandalorian. Okay, it's coming, and the big screen, small screen, doesn't really matter. It's coming. I don't know if Dom actually talked about this very much. I know he talked about some of the panels. But a big question has been on everyone's minds. One of the big wish list things for D23 that people really wanted things was obviously wanted to know about season 2 of The Acolyte. We were also very curious about the future of Star Wars animation. The fact that we really don't have a clear idea of what's coming next. And unfortunately, we still don't. D23 really didn't give us anything. All we got is one quote from Vanessa Marshall. There was a great little panel that Athena Portillo and Vanessa Marshall did on one of the days, and Vanessa Marshall said, "Quote: There's so much more to come."
Now, why would she say something? That's my question. First of all, why would Vanessa Marshall say something if she's not in the next something?
I mean, to be fair, prior to playing Harrison Dula, Vanessa Marshall's been in a lot of stuff, and she still continues to play a lot of different characters. Like I think she voiced Jan Ors in Dark Forces or something. Like she's been in things. So it doesn't necessarily mean that they're doing more Rebel stuff, but also Rebels is in the zeitgeist now. Come on.
But also, you just ended your last animated show with Omega going off to fight the rebellion. So
yeah, and
Hera and Omega are friends. So just
yeah. So I mean, and I my ideal thing is like do more animated stuff, like do Rebels animated stuff in the Mandoverse era. Like that's what I want to see more stuff of. But that is neither here nor there. No confirmations, no anything. We shall see. But exciting nonetheless. It's not like she came out and said, "There's no more Star Wars animation forever. It's being canceled, and there's nothing going to ever come out." She didn't say that. So
would you believe her if she did?
No, not at all. Animation is too big in Star Wars at the moment. Like it's always been and it always will be. So
it is weird that we don't have tales of anything. Like, am I wrong here? Is there's no main series, there's no Tales of series coming down the pipe that they've announced.
I mean, they did say there was going to be another season of Tales of the Jedi, and if that's not Tales of the Empire, if it was, they were just saying, "Hey, yeah, another season of Tales of the Jedi," and it happened to be Tales of the Empire. But I mean, there's also probably another season of Visions next year, I would assume, but that's not Lucasfilm animation.
Yeah. And they just released another season of Young Jedi Adventures, which I mean is technically animation, but also I kind of consider it to be its own thing.
Yeah.
So
I would assume
I don't know.
There's going to be another show at some point. They're probably keep working on it. Like Dom said in his video, we'll probably hear it at Celebration.
Yeah, it kills me. Like D23, a Star Wars animation panel, perfect opportunity to announce the big next Star Wars series. No, random Thursday, or preferably Thursday, because that's throw us a bone here. We like Thursday announcements.
Thursday at like 9 a.m. Pacific time. So
yeah, exactly. So the only other animated thing we really got was the Lego Star Wars Rebirth of the Galaxy trailer, which was really cool. And we got Darth Nubs. I got he's evil now. He's got a red lightsaber.
I don't think that means Nubs is evil. I mean, Grievous had 4 lightsabers that were not red, and he was not a good guy. So who's to say that Nubs just doesn't have it for one scene? I don't care.
I mean, he had them Sith
Nubs
eyes
is
too.
not evil.
He had them Sith eyes.
I hate to break it to you, but there's also a dark side Rose Tico in there too. So don't know what to think about that.
There's also Narkina 5 Yoda.
Which is they are just going. Oh my god!
I love these Legos. Trailer. I love these Legos like shows. I'm excited.
They don't care. I love that they just don't care. They will do anything. But yeah. And Dom mentioned it. We'll go ahead and we'll talk about this. Mandalorian and Grogu coming to Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. What do we make of this?
I can't wait to get out there and try it. Smuggler's Run, like as it is now, is already an amazing experience, and I highly recommend if you ever get the chance. If you haven't, I highly recommend you go and do it. I can't wait to see what this story entails that we get to play through.
Yeah. I haven't done Smuggler's Run yet, so I haven't been to Disneyland or World yet, so haven't seen the Falcon in person. So maybe if Celebration is in the States in 2026, I'll try this. Who knows?
Yeah, that's all the more reason to like do what Dom was talking about, which is like keep the current thing, but then add in the other experience, so that you can like, if you haven't done Smuggler's Run, like you can still like, I think some Star Tours like experiences, like planets, are harder to get now because there is so many of them. But still, generally, like Naboo, Tatooine, like there's a bunch that are like from the original reboot that are still like in the rotation that you can feasibly get. So if you're going for the first time, you can get those as opposed to just the sequels ones, and then we got there's a Ahsoka one out now. I think I hope that they do that. I hope it just mixes it up because personally, as much as I am, obviously I love Disney and I love Smuggler's Run. It is a ride that, like, once you've ridden it, it's kind of like, okay, it's kind of samey a little bit, and also completely depends on where you're sitting, because if you're in the driver's seat, it's fun. You get to pull the lever. It's great. You get to go to hyperspace. If you're in the third row and there's a 10-year-old in the driver's seat, you're just going to spend the entire time going, bah, bah, just bouncing off all the walls and just, having the time of your life and hoping not to die.
I will say, whenever I did it, I want to say Chris was there and he set it up because we went as like a group, but he went with the other group. And it was set up so both Jordan and I were the pilot and co-pilot, and so like we had a blast. And I say we came close to like almost having like a perfect flight. Like we had a great group, so it was a great experience all around. Like even the people that were just pressing buttons were having fun.
And that's the way you do it, but it's hard when you're like by yourself because you get like you get like Gunner, which is fine, but it's or Shields or whatever things. It's just I think it needs a refresh. I think Star Tours has thrived with like, okay, every so often we're gonna get something to tie in with a new movie or something like that. Get a new experience, a new planet, and that drives you to like people to go back and ride the ride again. So I think this could generate some influence, and I'll if I was going to Disney tomorrow, of course I'd ride Smuggler's Run, but it's definitely gonna entice me even more to go back further.
I'm surprised it took this long for them to add other stuff to it.
I agree.
I mean, now you're seeing Mandalorian characters in there. You're seeing Ahsoka and Boba Fett walking around the park, so it makes sense that they would start adding more stuff instead of just sequel stuff. But I'm surprised it took them this long to add a Mandalorian like ride pretty much to Disneyland and World.
Yeah. Speaking of the Mandalorian, apparently there was not only an in-person event for Fortnite at D23, there was actually a D23 event in Fortnite, and they announced that IG-11 and Moff Gideon in his power suit are coming to Fortnite. I think they're like, now you can go buy them. And there's also I don't have an image of it, but there's a Grogu back bling, which basically is just like a Grogu backpack, and he's like all over the place, like flailing his arms and making cute noises. So that's more stuff for me to spend my money on, more digital stuff to spend my money on. Yay!
Yeah, I don't know if I'll get the skins, but I'll probably get the Grogu back bling so my Chewbacca skin can have a little Grogu on him.
I was thinking the same thing.
I think I've only played Fortnite once, and it was just to get the Clone Trooper armor. And then I gave up. And then I was like, this game is too much for me. I cannot play this game.
Look, you gotta give it a try when it's Star Wars, when there's lightsabers in the game. It basically becomes a Star Wars game.
Next time they do Star Wars stuff.
Yeah. The things I'm surprised that they don't, like, they have IG-11. I'm surprised they don't have IG-12. Like, I feel like a really good skin would be IG-12 with Grogu in his chest.
That's the next one. That's the next one.
Yeah, they're saving that one. That'll be like whenever like the Mandalorian and Grogu movies like right around the corner. Like, and here's some old concepts that we never used.
I mean, and come on, Fortnite, and apparently they're investing like billions of dollars into Epic Games, like Disney is, to like do stuff. So like, who knows what that's going to entail? But that's coming, and who knows what it means? But I don't think Star Wars and Fortnite collaborations are going away anytime soon. But okay, so I think we have just enough time to get to some questions, and then we'll close things out for the night. If you have a super chat, send it now. Send it like next 5 minutes. Otherwise, you're not going to get your super chat in. I'm sorry. Okay, we're running out of time here. But we will go over to the Discord and get some questions from those good people. And I'll start us off with our good buddy Vlad Sender. He says, hello there, SWU. Vlad here with several questions. Several questions. Okay. And he says, first off, Smee in Skeleton Crew, the SM-33 droid, I guess is what he's referring to. Is his name an homage to the first mate of Captain Hook? We'll go ahead and stop and actually answer this question. I'm pretty sure it is.
Yes. We'll say yes. Yes.
Yeah,
so
I'm on board with yes.
So interestingly enough, the little the Ugnaught dude that's with Gorian Shard, he was dressed like Smee from like Mr. Smee from Peter Pan. And that's what Vlad is referring to. And apparently this droid is SM-33 or something like that.
Yeah.
So it spells out Smee, which is just not unlike C-110P Chopper. Even though Star Wars numbers are not the same in the Star Wars universe. There's an X-Wing, but the letter X is not in the Star Wars galaxy's alphabet. Make it make sense.
If you don't think about it, it makes sense. I mean, they call a T a spaceship that looks like a T a B-wing, so and they didn't explain it until Rebels, so it's
the Blade Wing.
But we'll go with yes on that first question.
Yeah, I think that's a solid yes. He said, back to Vlad. He said, second, Avatar Fire and Ash? ? Awesome. I'm glad they didn't name it the Fire Lords like they were considering. I'm not caught up on Avatar lore, so I could not tell you.
I'm assuming this is like the blue people Avatar.
Yeah.
Yes, not the
I've
Airbender.
I've only seen the first one. I'm pretty sure it was also called the Book of Fire. So it was the third one. So if I remember right, from the real Avatar, the last Airbender.
It's amazing how Avatar is a franchise I literally could not care less about, but I like genuinely, I watched both movies, enjoyed them. I went to Way of Water and like enjoyed it, didn't fall asleep like some people.
Never seen Way of Water.
And I'll probably go see this one, stupidly. I don't know why, but I can just tell I already will. Moving on. Third, Vlad says, reverting back to Star Wars, upon further consideration, I believe there's a way to bring Tenel Ka into canon. Her backstory could be retconned so that she is the daughter of a Jedi Cal Kestis and the Night Sister Marin. Tenel Ka as the love child of Marin and Cal. Didn't see that one coming. But hey, it's possible, I suppose. I'm not super familiar with that character, if I'm being honest. Probably one of the EU characters I'm least familiar with, but
she's an EU character. I don't know what from.
It looks like you're doing the same thing I'm doing and trying to look it up. Like,
are you both Googling?
I'm on Wikipedia right now.
You went to Wikipedia?
The story.
I'm trying to figure out.
Well, that makes three of us
where
then.
Her appearance from Young Jedi Knight. I never read the Young Jedi Knight books, so I've never heard of this character.
I've never read much of the legend stuff.
Look, I've got a whole bookshelf over here. I've read all the visual dictionaries with all those weird EU characters, the XR Coons and all those dudes.
I wish they would make those books for the new ones. The essential Star Wars characters and the new essential Star Wars character guys.
Look, Vlad sounds like a good idea, but also she already has established parents on her Legends Wikipedia, and we know how it turned out the last time they changed something about the Legends canon part of a Wikipedia article. So I don't know. Maybe don't do that. Maybe just make a new character. I don't know.
I will say, just like through quick scrolling, I do like a lot of like the character look and stuff that they gave her and stuff like that. So I would love to see this character like adapted in some capacity. You know, obviously have to change quite a few things. I don't even care if you change the name, but I would like to see this character's elements and stuff like that come into play.
Yeah, there's some. If you just Google or go to the Wikipedia article, there's some really stunning looking art things, and obviously she has a pretty rich history in the EU. So,
and a lot of appearances apparently. I just got to that section, and
I scrolled straight down to that section.
And she's got I remember this. She's got this Rancor tooth lightsaber. This lightsaber
that's her?
that's made out of a Rancor tooth, which is badass. I have to say.
That's her. That's her lightsaber. I remember like seeing the lightsaber design and being like, "That's a cool lightsaber." No idea who it belonged to. But.
Really cool. I could see them doing that in live action. That's actually a really cool idea. But yeah, okay. Well, Vlad, interesting thoughts, experiments here. Would love to, as always, for those of you in the audience, feel free to write in with you can go to Discord and respond directly to Vlad if you have your own thoughts, or you can send us questions here and follow up and give your own thoughts and ask us another question. It's totally up to you. Let's do a couple more. Okay, so we got Dr. Hugh. Hugh says, do you guys feel that Star Wars has been playing it safe by naming their productions after their lead characters? Although this isn't something new, I feel like I'm noticing it a lot more, though, through various comics and TV material that have been released over the past few years or so. The Mandalorian and Grogu is a more recent example of this naming convention. So obviously we've had these discussions before. We got Solo, a Star Wars story. We got the Book of Boba Fett. We've got these things that really rely on the character names as opposed to just kind of a random title. I don't know. Jesse, what's your take on this?
So I like to think of it as judging a book by the cover. You know, you really don't need to judge the whole. You know, you don't need a fancy title to draw you in. You don't, it's a story about the Mandalorian and Grogu. We don't really have, we can't give you a title for various reasons. Maybe it's not maybe it's not Heir to the Empire or anything like that. So that's why they're not naming it Heir to the Empire. And there's, like he even says in the question, there's plenty of examples in the past of, a lot of movies do it and they work well, especially like ones that are based on like comic books and stuff like that, because the comic books themselves, the most you'll get is like The Adventures of, or the team name, like looking at Superman and Batman and Teen Titans. The title is the character of the show. It works for comic books. Marvel does it with comic book adaptations. So like I can see Star Wars following route, and yeah, I feel like there's a lot of naysayers online against it, but I do feel like overall I feel like it works, so no need to change it.
Yeah, it also gives an expectation of, especially if you know the characters, like the Mandalorian. Okay, we know Mandalorians. Like before the Mandalorian came out, we know what a Mandalorian is. If you're a Star Wars fan, so you're like, okay, this is following a Mandalorian. Rogue One. Okay, we know roughly from Legends the Rogue One story. Roughly, we can't like Solo. Obviously, we know it's a Han Solo story. It makes sense to call it Solo. Ahsoka. Okay, it follows Ahsoka. Unless you're gonna bring up like a better name for something, I don't think it makes more sense to go, hey, this is the Bad Batch. The Bad Batch. We're not gonna call it the group of random clone troopers that you saw in one arc of the Clone Wars in their sister. So like obviously they're just gonna call it after what it is. I mean, even A New Hope, like even some of the movies, A New Hope is a bad example for that. Like, I mean, The Last Jedi is pretty much named after Luke Skywalker. Maybe not. Who knows?
With these things, the simplest answer is, usually the best one, or at least the most logical one. Like, Solo got a lot of flack, and I think, I agree with some of it. I think, like Han Solo at Star's End, like that's a great title. That's a really cool title. I'm not saying it fits Solo, but something similar to that may have been more interesting. You're still keeping the character's name in there. And with the Mandalorian Grogu, I get it. I get why people are not feeling that title, but at the same time, they need that brand recognition. They need both the brand recognition of the Mandalorian, of like, you saw this thing on Disney Plus, now it's on the big screen, and Grogu. Because he's their cash baby. Okay, he's the thing that's gonna put butts in seats. So they got to put him in the title, and it's not the most inventive title, but it's going to work. Okay, that title is going to get people's attention. The only better thing they could do is the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda. It would never happen, but they, that's the only title that would maybe actually make them more money somehow. But they're trying to avoid that, obviously. But
I do like how you brought up how they needed brand recognition. Like Star Wars isn't strong enough of a brand on its own anymore to market something. So they're like, Star Wars isn't good enough. We need something
Star Wars
better.
and what?
It's amazing how they were so adamant early on with the quote unquote anthology films of like, we can't just do Solo, we can't just do Rogue One. It has to be
So everything
a
was
Star Wars story. Everything was a Star Wars story. Now they're like, the Mandalorian is such a strong name recognition thing. We don't need to put Star Wars on it. It's just the Mandalorian and Grogu. It's not the Mandalorian, Grogu, and a Star Wars story. Like,
it says Star Wars right above it, but it does say Star Wars and the Mandalorian. The Mandalorian.
Right. I only saw the image like once, so I just remember seeing Mandalorian and Grogu. So I don't remember reading.
There's
the fine
like a
print of the
real
poster,
little like small Star Wars right above it. Obviously, they're gonna do that. They're gonna do kind of what Marvel does with the little Marvel logo and what DC does with the little DC logo right next to it. They're gonna call these movies what they are. Maybe the only example for this is the new Rey movie, and we just call it the Rey movie, but it's called like the New Jedi, right, or something like
probably
that.
Star Wars New Jedi Order.
Yeah, New Jedi Order.
Like
Yeah, even the other one that Mangold's doing, they called it something else. Like
it's Dawn. I don't know if these are official. I don't know if these are official titles yet, but they seem to be. That's what they're calling them.
I would assume that they're not going to call it the Rey movie. It's the Rey movie. I'm going to assume they're going to call it something else. So
Star Wars, the Rey movie.
I really hope they call it something else. But hey, if they just call it the Rey movie or Rey Skywalker, I'm in. So
again, it'll get butts in seats. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
No, imagine if they do call it Star Wars Rey Skywalker or something, just like all the immediate,
dude,
like
I would be so
everyone's
excited.
going to come back out of the woodwork on that one.
Oh my God. That would
so
set the internet on fire, both in a good way and a bad way.
But they also do this with books, right? They like, I'm reading the Thrawn Alliance's books. And of course they're going to put Thrawn right up it. So you go, oh, it's a Thrawn book. I'm going to read this. Like, Star Wars Alphabet Squadron, they're naming it after the main characters. Like they do this with like all books too. It's and he, like he said did say in comics as well. But it's just like they're gonna name these things after 90% of the time after like the main characters.
Yeah,
I do think the big exceptions again are like in Marvel with like Endgame, where it's like, all right, this even then it's called Avengers, which is the team name of the main group, so they still do it. But I feel like those are where you see the subtext of like Endgame and the foregone Kang Dynasty that's no longer happening, in Doomsday. Then you see subtle changes, but those are for your big crossover stuff, which I feel like is starting to be the way of these universe-based movies. You have your title, which is here's our hero, this is their movie, and then we'll specialize it for the bigger stuff.
Yeah, I think it's definitely like I mentioned it earlier, but like I genuinely think the Book of Boba Fett might be one of the best titles we've ever gotten. Like it accomplishes so much in like giving us a unique title that also having like the recognition of like, oh yeah, it's Boba Fett. It's a Boba Fett story. And doing all that.
Mhm.
I know not everyone loves that
think-
show, but the title is.
I think that's as not curious, what was it? Creative as they'll get with any
Creative,
title.
yeah. That's why I like
any of these like character titles. I think
like as much as I love Star Wars Ahsoka, there's nothing inventive about that. Or Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi.
It's like Star Wars Andor. They're not going to be like Star Wars Rebel guy from Rogue One.
Star Wars knows.
Weirdly, it low-key kind of bothers me that they called the Obi-Wan series Obi-Wan Kenobi. I would have preferred it if it was like Star Wars Kenobi or Star Wars Obi-Wan. But they're like, no, his full name. I'm like,
the Jedi's in hiding. Don't dox him on the internet. He's hiding. One or the other.
Call it
Ben Kenobi.
Ben Kenobi. God. He just changed his first name. At least it's not as creative as the one dude's son, Luke.
Yeah, they Vader was just Google searching. He never thought to use a single name or just throw in Ben in there. He was just always Obi-Wan Kenobi. Never any searches come up.
I can't find this guy. Keeps popping
I
up
could
on
go
my
off
head.
on that topic forever. You got to change it, or we're going to be here all
Okay.
night.
Okay. We have one last question. We have one last question, and I think it's going to take all three of us to figure this one out.
Oh God, I'm reading it now.
Plagueis 66 asks, or just says, Barrett Wallace, Final Fantasy VII, is a Skywalker. Think about it. So, is anybody thinking about it? Because I don't know what to think.
I've never
played Final Fantasy VII, so I don't know.
I've never played a single Final Fantasy, but if you say so.
I've played one a long time ago. I don't remember which one it was. I do have someone like right on the other side of the wall that all I would have to do is run away real quick, and I could just be like, Barrett Wallace, Final Fantasy VII in 30 seconds, go, and then take that information. But I don't want to run off screen because I don't remember what my away image is. So as of now, just going off of character images, I really want put a follow-up message in the Discord, reply to yourself. I really want Plagueis to explain the hows and whys to this, because just looking at an image, I don't get it. I'm just going based off solely visual cues.
I mean, I could see him with a lightsaber, but I can envision anybody with a lightsaber, so, you know.
But I don't think it's Skywalker energy. I think that's more, I don't know, maybe more of a Kenobi.
Well, okay, Plagueis, follow-up question. Explain why is he or she a Skywalker? Why? Just why?
You drew the wrong
Seriously.
group of people to talk Final Fantasy VII.
You picked the wrong week. We're all Final Fantasy noobs here.
I'm pretty sure if you picked a week with Hannah in it, though, she would not know what you're talking about.
If she's watching right now from anywhere, whenever she comes back, she's gonna be like, "Oh my God, why wasn't I there?"
Oh my God, I know Final Fantasy like it's Star Wars. And it's like, Hannah, you know Final Fantasy? You didn't know Marvel.
You never know. That girl's full of surprises.
I feel like Chris probably knows a little bit about the topic also. I feel like I've heard him talk about the universe a little bit in some way.
Maybe
that is true.
Chris,
that is true.
Dom, I don't know. Dom would be just like
no way in hell. There's no way in hell Dom knows any of that.
If it's not,
he doesn't even know what Final Fantasy is.
He hasn't watched the cutscene movie for it.
Okay. So that's the last of the questions. This is something actually I want to bring up something really quick. A little blast from the past. I wanted to bring this up at the top of the show, but I just completely forgot. This popped up in my Facebook memories recently, and it was from a few years ago. I think this was 2015. All the announcements that we got at D23 in 2015. This is quite a few years ago, almost 10 years ago. We got. And this is from our old StarWarsUnderworld.com website. Breaking: Star Wars lands announced for Disney World /land. before we knew it as Galaxy's Edge. Breaking, the Force Awakens poster by Drew Struzan revealed. Breaking, Rogue One cast revealed in crew photo. You guys remember this? That first
photo.
Image of Rogue One. And here's the kicker. Here's the last one. Breaking, Colin Trevorrow will direct episode 9. File that under.
Hold on, something's not right in that list.
Time out.
One of these things is not like the other.
They never did Star Wars Land.
Wait, that wasn't the cast of Rogue One. What are you talking about?
Go to Florida and ask it. Can you point me in the direction of Star Wars Land?
Of that Star Wars Land.
To be fair, that is what I call it to people in like my circles that are not Star Wars people. I'm not like, oh yeah, so if you go to Disney and then go to, I'm like, no. So they've got like Star Wars Land inside of Disney now. I'm like, that's just how I explain it to people.
I mean, that's
because like you don't say like, oh, I'm going to the Wizarding World at Universal Studios. They're like, no, I'm going to Harry Potter World.
Yeah, or Harry Potter Land.
Yeah.
Which that's a different topic.
So yeah.
It's crazy that some of those
much
was like 10 years ago though already, or just about. You said that was 2015, so like that's
was
like 8 years.
That had to be that was because that was in the lead up, because that was like leading up to Force Awakens. Rogue One was on the horizon. Episodes 8 and 9 were in production.
Had the trailer for 7 come out yet since then, or before that? Or was the
believe
trailer?
So
was
it was the, if you look up the Drew Struzan Force Awakens poster, it's that like kind of sideways angled poster, and it's got Finn, Rey, and Kylo on it. So I think we had, because obviously we got the, because that would have been May. We would have got that first, the Chewie We're Home trailer. And then
that was a celebration. That was a
I guess we didn't get a trailer at D23, weirdly. I mean, we did. I don't know. And then we got that in August. So a lot happening. A lot more happening at 2015 D23 than it was at this. I don't know. We got a few trailers. We got some good stuff this year. We got some pretty good stuff. I don't want to complain.
What I thought you were going to bring up was that it is the 16th anniversary of Star Wars: The Clone Wars movie. So.
It is. I forgot all about that. Yeah, it is.
I was gonna mention it off the top, and then my computer died. So
I was gonna mention it too, but then like as soon as we got in like the little chat room, I just completely forgot about it, and I was like, oh yeah, I was gonna say something, but I don't remember.
So happy 16 years.
So happy 16th birthday to the Clone Wars movie. Doesn't get enough love. Doesn't get enough love. Movie. I think still. I still say some really good Star Wars. Really good Star Wars. Yes, it's got some rough parts, but damn that Battle of Christophsis and the Battle of Teth really hits hard still.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we've run out of things to talk about. I hate to say it, and also we've run out of time. So I think this might actually be our swan song. I think we just need to close it up for the night. I hate to say it. Because this was a lot of fun. Thank you both so much for, in the nick of time, showing up to bail me out and make this for a really fantastic show. There's the music. Finally. Yeah, guys, it's been fun. I appreciate both of you for coming on. Jesse, I believe you have some stuff you've been working on that is very exciting, and I wanted to give you a chance to not only plug your stuff and but tell the people what you've been doing lately.
Yeah, exciting. That's a word. So I've got a new podcast that I've recorded 2 episodes on, haven't released them yet. getting a group of them together and then randomly deciding the release order, because who doesn't love a challenge when you're starting a new project? But it's been going great. It's called my finger disappears. It's called Cinemaybes. So kind of like my old podcast, Question Possible Answer, except more refined. So we'll take like a movie, a TV show or something, and instead of discussing like the changes that it has on the real world and stuff like that, if you were to jump from the universe and stuff, instead we're just taking like small bits of like non-important information that they give you in the movie, and you change it in such a way that it becomes a catalyst for something new to completely change. For example, in a preview of it for Star Wars, we discussed what if the timing of saving Han from carbonite, like if you change that scene around, like change where he gets saved a little bit later or earlier, and we ended up changing it to where the Empire wins essentially in one of our run-throughs, just because it worked out. Like, oh well, now Luke's training schedule changes, and just, you know, the catalyst for the change. And so like it's been really fun getting to record these episodes so far. I'm not saying the guest right now, but yeah, so it's been really fun. You can look for it on your podcatchers whenever it starts to come out, and eventually there will be a YouTube channel also that will just like have screen captures to help follow along, since we could change something so dramatically, and we'll just kind of be like, this is the scene that we changed, and kind of have it up on screen so you can be like, how did we get in outer space where this is, you know, something crazy? But yeah, check it out. And thanks again for having me on. It's been a blast.
Well, thank you so much for coming on such late notice, especially. Have to reiterate that. But it was a pleasure as always. I can't wait to have you back again, and definitely keep us in the loop about that, because I definitely want to, you guys officially launch. I'd love to give you some promotion, make sure all of our listeners know what you're doing. So that's really, really exciting. I'm really, really excited for you guys. Chad, thank you so much for showing up for me today. Can you tell the people what you've been doing, where you at, where they can find you?
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me, Ben. You can find me here at Chadalorian 732 on Twitter, where I tweet sometimes, and I've been doing a rewatch of the MCU as of late, and just dropping rankings. And I haven't updated the ranking because I haven't watched MCU movie like 2 weeks, because I'm on Endgame and I am not ready for that emotional damage. So
you gotta get ready for that,
because RGJ's coming back, so like half the emotional damage is gone.
That is true. That is true, but still. But you see me tweet about random things, and sometimes how I miss Gorian Shard. So
yeah, don't we all? Don't we all miss Gorian Shard?
I mean, he was a one-hit wonder. Greenleaf man.
Gone too soon. You know
rest
what?
In peace, you salad.
Look, if Maul and Admiral Trench and all those guys can die and come back, I say bring Gorian Shard back. Okay.
Bring him back in Skeleton Crew, please and thank you.
Gorian Shard, truther here.
And then if he shows up in Skeleton Crew, #1 Star Wars show. That's goated.
I was legitimately bummed when they killed him off. I was like, this is the best character ever.
Same.
The worst part of that great episode was Gorian Shard's untimely death.
Sure, yeah.
But he'll be back one day. Fingers crossed.
One of these days.
Please be sure to check out the Star Wars Underworld Network. All great shows over there. Be sure to follow us on the social medias at the SWU. Of course, we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, most importantly, and probably not on Blue Sky. But you never know. Could change from week to week, depending on my mood. But definitely go follow us there. Go in the Discord, find the link in the description, subscribe, review, all that stuff. Yes, we're even on TikTok. Occasionally we will post on TikTok, so go follow us there whenever we actually do that. I think that's it. I think we conquered this, guys. I think we did it. This is a great episode. Cannot wait to do it again this week. who the heck knows who's going to be here next week? Maybe I'll just decide to just leave and just take off and see how they do without me, hey? Yeah. I don't know. Chad, Jesse, you guys doing anything next week? I'm just curious. Just asking for a friend.
I guess I might be back here if that's what you're asking. I don't know yet.
I'm not going to put you on the spot. Okay. I was just giving Star after the night off because we've been overworking him lately. Yeah, I'm just gonna stop talking now. Okay, I'm gonna ramble until I don't need to anymore. This has been great. Hannah, Dom, Chris, wherever you are, I hope you're alive and okay. I hope everything's fine. Okay, because we missed you, okay? We missed you. Maybe we didn't. I don't know. It's been fun, guys. We will definitely be here next week. Who will be here? I don't know. But we thank you. We love you. We see you next week. And until then... Actually, let me do the thing. See, I'm doing everything, and I forget to do this. Yes, I get to salute. And...
You didn't do the thing. We're still alive.
It's done! May the force. May the force be with you. I think that's one of the things we're supposed to say. May the force be with you. All right, who's gonna say it? Who's gonna say it?
Oh, it's a wrap, I think. I don't know.
Say it so confidently, why don't you?